Did you know that your unconscious mind already knows who the love of your life is before your conscious thinking even realizes it? Carl Jung, one of the most brilliant psychologists in history, discovered something that will completely change your view of love. And let me warn you in advance, what you are about to hear might make you rethink all your past and present relationships. It might even explain why you have felt that strange sense of emptiness in connections that seem perfect on paper. There is an invisible force, a hidden pattern in your unconscious that acts like a cosmic magnet, pulling toward you exactly the person you need in order to complete your individuation process. Jung called it anima and animus, and this force is at work in your life right now as you read these words, influencing every decision you make about love without you even realizing it. But here comes the unsettling part. Most people ignore these signals because they are too busy chasing what they think they want instead of recognizing what their soul truly needs. And when I say soul, I don't mean the cheap romanticism of Hollywood movies. I am talking about something much deeper and more transformative, something that can change the very structure of your personality. Over more than 40 years of studying the human psyche, Jung observed patterns that repeated themselves again and again in his patients. He discovered that those who found true love, the love that truly transformed their lives, experienced certain specific signals that most people overlooked or misunderstood. These are neither coincidences nor romantic fantasies, but real manifestations of deep archetypal forces operating in the most primitive layers of our brain. The first sign that you have found the love of your life is something Jung described as the activation of your archetypal counterpart. This goes far beyond what popular psychology understands as compatibility. In every man there exists an unconscious feminine element which Jung called the anima, and in every woman there exists an unconscious masculine element, the animus. These are not abstract concepts floating in the air, but real forces measurable through neurological and hormonal changes that influence every one of your decisions about love. Jung discovered that a man's anima develops primarily through his first experiences with significant female figures, especially his mother. But it doesn't stop with this first impression. It evolves throughout life, integrating elements from all meaningful experiences with women. The animus in women follows a similar but opposite pattern, developing primarily through experiences with male figures. When you meet the love of your life, something extraordinary happens on a neurological level. This person naturally and effortlessly activates your anima or animus. I'm not talking about superficial physical attraction that fades after a few weeks. I'm talking about a resonance that occurs in the deepest layers of your being, in those parts of the brain that Jung called the collective unconscious. You feel as if this person awakens parts of you that you never knew existed. Suddenly you begin to express aspects of your personality that have been dormant for years, maybe even decades. A man might discover an emotional sensitivity he suppressed since childhood. A woman might find an inner strength and leadership ability she never knew she possessed. Have you noticed that some people can spend months or even years with you without you ever feeling that they truly know you? They might tolerate you, maybe even love you in a way, but there's an invisible barrier that never gets broken. While with others, from the very first meeting, you feel a strange familiarity, as if you've been waiting your whole life for this moment, as if you've finally come home after a long journey through unknown lands. That is neither coincidence nor romantic projection. It is your anima or animus recognizing its perfect counterpart, the missing puzzle piece of your psyche. Jung observed that in this moment, regions of the brain connected with deep memories become activated, as if we are remembering something we had long forgotten. But be cautious, because here comes something crucial that most people overlook. This activation doesn't always feel pleasant at first. In fact, it can be deeply unsettling. Jung found that when our deepest archetypes are touched, we experience what he called a complex constellation. This means that your entire psychic structure reorganizes itself to accommodate this new energy. It's as if someone entered your psychological house and began rearranging the furniture without your permission. You might feel a strange mix of fascination and fear, as if this person has the power to change you in ways you cannot control or predict. And this is exactly where you need to pay attention. True love, the love of your life, does not leave you unchanged. It transforms you on an archetypal level. This transformation is not optional. You cannot experience only the pleasant aspects of this activation. It's a whole package that also includes the shaking of personality patterns you thought were fixed and unchangeable. Jung warned that many people flee at precisely this moment, afraid of the intensity of the transformation to come. The second sign is closely connected to what Jung saw as the most crucial aspect of psychological development, the integration of the shadow. We all have a shadow, that part of ourselves we have suppressed, denied, or rejected because it doesn't fit the image we want to show the world. The shadow contains not only our negative sides, but also our undeveloped potentials, our hidden talents, our suppressed passions, and our most primal instincts. During his decades of research, Jung discovered something fascinating. The shadow does not disappear when we ignore it. It grows more powerful, more destructive, and begins to sabotage our relationships from the unconscious. Most relationship conflicts, according to Jung, are not actually about the superficial issues being argued over. They are about unintegrated shadow elements being projected onto the other person. When you meet the love of your life, something happens that most relationships never achieve. This person can see your shadow without running away from it. Even more, in a mysterious way, she helps you integrate your shadow into your conscious personality in a healthy manner. She doesn't judge you for your darker sides, doesn't try to change or improve you. She simply accepts the totality of your being with an understanding that transcends all logic. Have you ever been with someone with whom you felt you could be completely yourself, even in your darkest or most problematic aspects? I'm not talking about someone who reluctantly tolerates your weaknesses out of martyrdom. I mean someone who, in an inexplicable way, transforms those weaknesses into strengths, or at least sees them in an entirely different light. For example, your tendency to be too critical, which has sabotaged past relationships, suddenly becomes a valuable skill for improving situations. Your stubbornness, which others perceived as an unbearable flaw, turns out to be admirable determination when directed toward constructive goals. Your excessive sensitivity, which has caused you so much pain, becomes an extraordinary tool for empathic understanding. Jung said that true individuation, the process of becoming who you really are, requires the integration of the shadow. And here lies the secret that can change your life. The love of your life acts like an alchemical mirror that allows you to see your shadow not as something to be eliminated, but as something to be understood, accepted, and transformed. But beware. This also means that this person will constantly challenge your ego. They will confront you, not in an aggressive or destructive way, but in such a manner that you are forced to face parts of yourself you would rather keep hidden. If someone in your life does this naturally and lovingly, without becoming your enemy in the process, you should pay attention. This could be one of the clearest signs of true love. This confrontation doesn't feel like an attack. It's an invitation to grow, to expand, and to become a fuller version of yourself. Jung observed that conflicts in such transformative relationships do not destroy the bond, but deepen it, because both intuitively understand that they are participating in a sacred process of mutual growth. The third sign is perhaps the most mysterious and powerful of all: synchronicity. Jung developed this concept after years of observing that certain seemingly unrelated events appeared to be connected by more than mere chance. He defined synchronicity as meaningful coincidences that point to the existence of a deeper order in the universe, an order that transcends the laws of cause and effect. When it comes to the love of your life, these synchronicities multiply exponentially and take increasingly complex and improbable forms. I'm not talking about simple coincidences like a random encounter in the same cafe. I mean an orchestrated sequence of seemingly impossible events that conspire to bring you together in a way that defies all rational explanation. Jung documented cases where his patients experienced chains of synchronicities so complex that he calculated the mathematical probability of their random occurrence. In some cases, the likelihood was 1 in several million. These could be repeated encounters in places where neither person logically should have been, connections through third parties who had no idea you were meant to meet, or even dreams and premonitions that manifested in reality with eerily precise accuracy. Yet synchronicities connected to the love of your life have certain characteristics that distinguish them from ordinary coincidences. First, they tend to intensify during moments of crisis or major decisions in the relationship. Second, they often involve symbols or images that hold deep personal meaning for both individuals. Third, they frequently contain elements that seem to come from completely foreign sources, unrelated to your conscious life. Jung believed that synchronicities are signs that we are in alignment with our individual destiny, with what he called the archetypal self, the fullest and most authentic version of who we are. When you experience a chain of synchronicities revolving around a particular person, your unconscious is sending you a clear message. This person plays a central role in your individuation process. Have you noticed that with certain people, synchronicities happen almost constantly, as if the universe itself is actively working to keep you connected, creating encounters that go beyond any conscious planning, as though a higher intelligence orchestrates events to ensure that your paths keep crossing? But here's the fascinating part. These synchronicities don't stop once you're together. On the contrary, they intensify and evolve into subtler but equally powerful forms. You begin to experience what Jung called mystical participation, a psychic connection that goes beyond the rational explanations of modern neuroscience. You might frequently have the same thought at the same time, far more often than statistics could justify. You might have similar or complementary dreams without having discussed them beforehand. You might have intuitive insights about each other's state of being that prove to be uncannily accurate, as if you share a kind of mutual emotional radar. Jung documented cases of couples separated by thousands of kilometers who simultaneously felt physical sensations when the other was in danger or in pain. This is not imagination or autosuggestion, but measurable phenomena that Jung meticulously studied over decades. This mystical participation is not emotional dependency or codependency. It is something far deeper. It's as if you have found a shared frequency that allows you to perceive one another on levels that go beyond ordinary verbal or physical communication. The fourth sign is closely related to what Jung regarded as the crowning achievement of his work, the archetypes of the collective unconscious. According to Jung, within each of us exist universal patterns of behavior and experience that we share with all humanity. These archetypes include figures such as the lover, the sage, the warrior, the great mother, the wise father, the eternal child, the trickster, and many others. Jung discovered that most people activate only a fraction of the archetypes available to them. This creates a constant sense of incompleteness, as if we are playing only a few instruments in a grand orchestra. Life feels limited and repetitive, as though we are always playing the same role without access to the full repertoire of our humanity. When you find the love of your life, you discover that this person acts like a master key that simultaneously and harmoniously activates several archetypes within you. They awaken not only your lover, but can also awaken your inner sage, your protective caregiver, your fearless adventurer, your creative artist, or any other archetypal aspect that needs to be developed for your complete growth. This manifests in very concrete and observable ways. You might become braver than you ever thought possible, more compassionate toward others, more creative in your work, wiser in your decisions, or more playful in your daily life. Not because you are playing a role or trying to be someone else, but because their presence literally activates hidden potentials within your psychic structure. Jung observed that in truly transformative relationships, both partners serve as catalysts for the realization of each other's highest archetypes. It's as if each of you holds the secret combination to unlock the hidden treasures of the other, treasures that have been locked away for years or even decades. Have you ever been with someone around whom you feel like your best self without having to try? Not because you want to impress or play a part, but because their mere presence brings out aspects of your personality you didn't know existed, like a piano that has finally found the musician who can play all its keys. This archetypal activation has profound effects on your daily life. Your creativity expands, your leadership strengthens, your intuition sharpens, your sense of humor evolves, your courage to face challenges increases. It's as if this person has lit up rooms in your personality that had remained dark for years. But the deepest aspect of this is that this archetypal activation is mutual and self-reinforcing. Not only does this person bring out the best in you, you have the same transformative effect on them. Together you generate a psychic energy field that allows both of you to become more complete and authentic versions of yourselves. Jung noted that couples who experience this mutual archetypal activation often develop abilities that neither possessed alone. Their combined intelligence surpasses the sum of their individual intelligences. Their shared creativity exceeds what either could achieve alone. Their ability to solve problems, overcome crises, and create beauty in the world multiplies exponentially. The fifth and final sign is perhaps the most important and transformative of all, the unmistakable feeling that with this person you are living your personal myth. Jung believed that every human being is born with a unique myth, an archetypal narrative that gives our existence meaning and purpose. This personal myth is not a story we consciously invent. It is a deep pattern emerging from the collective unconscious that guides our development from birth to death. Most people live their lives without consciously connecting to this personal myth. They move through life as if they were actors in a play whose complete script they never received. They know they are on stage, they know they must perform, but they don't truly understand the larger story of which they are a part. When the love of your life appears, suddenly everything begins to make sense in a way that transcends intellectual understanding. This person doesn't just fit into your story. Their presence makes your story richer, more meaningful, and more complete. It's as if, until now, you had only lived half of your myth, and now you can finally see the full narrative. Jung observed that when two people find this mythical resonance, they experience what he called the union of opposites. It's not about being identical or having no differences. It's about your differences complementing each other in a way that creates something greater than the sum of your parts. This doesn't mean that your previous life had no value or meaning. It means that all your past experiences, including your deepest pains, your most devastating failures, and your greatest triumphs, suddenly proved to be necessary chapters that prepared you for this encounter. Every trauma becomes wisdom. Every loss reveals itself as preparation for something better. Every moment of loneliness becomes understandable as the time when you develop the inner strength needed for this connection. Jung called this the process of individuation, the path of becoming who you are truly meant to be. He noted that for most people, this process reaches its peak through the encounter with what he called the significant other, the person who acts as a catalyst for the full unfolding of your potential. Have you ever felt that your life with a particular person takes on a deeper, almost mystical meaning? As if all the scattered pieces of your experiences suddenly fit together into a coherent and beautiful pattern, as if this person were not just a complement to your life, but the missing puzzle piece that completes your existence. But there is something crucial to understand here, something that separates those who are truly ready for the love of their life from those who continue to seek superficial substitutes. Recognizing these signs requires a level of self-awareness and emotional honesty that most people actively avoid. It's much easier to stay on the surface and focus on obvious commonalities like shared interests, physical attraction, financial stability, or social approval than to dive into the archetypal depth of a connection. Jung warned that most people flee from true love because it demands too much growth, too much transformation, and too much honesty about who one truly is beneath the carefully constructed social masks. Archetypal love, the love of your life, does not allow you to remain small, comfortable, or hidden. It constantly challenges you to evolve, to face your shadows, and to integrate aspects of yourself you would rather keep separate and under control. This kind of love requires letting go of the illusion of control over your life and identity. It requires trust in processes that go beyond your rational understanding. It requires faith in transformations you cannot consciously direct. Are you truly ready for such a level of change? Are you ready for someone to see all your vulnerabilities, all your imperfections, all your deepest fears, and for their love for you not to diminish but to deepen because of it? Are you ready to do the same for another person? Because if these 5 signs are now present in your life, do not ignore them out of fear or out of habit for familiar but restrictive patterns. Your unconscious self is trying to tell you something profound about your destiny and your individuation process. It is trying to show you a path toward a version of yourself you didn't even know was possible. Jung did not see love as a passing feeling or fleeting emotion that comes and goes depending on external circumstances. He saw it as an archetypal force, a transformative energy with the power to completely reorder your psychic structure and guide you toward the realization of your highest potential. This force follows laws that transcend ordinary logic. It does not respond to manipulation or control. It cannot be forced or artificially created. It can only be recognized, honored, and accepted when it authentically appears in your life. Jung also observed something that might surprise you. The deepest connections often begin in ways that contradict our conventional romantic expectations. They can arise from friendships that gradually deepen. They can emerge from apparent conflicts that reveal deeper common ground. They can grow in situations where both people are entirely focused on something other than romance. Archetypal love rarely appears with the dramatic staging we expect from movies. Instead, it reveals itself gradually, like a sunrise that imperceptibly transforms darkness into light. It takes time for the archetypes to fully activate, for synchronicities to multiply, for shadows to be integrated in a healthy way. These 5 signs are not a guarantee that the relationship will be easy or free of challenges. On the contrary, Jung found that the deepest connections often involve more conflict, more growth, and more transformation than superficial relationships, but they also offer something that no other human experience can provide: the opportunity to become who you are truly meant to be through the activation of your anima or animus, the healthy integration of your shadow, the multiplication of meaningful synchronicities, the awakening of multiple archetypes, and the feeling of living your personal myth. These are the signs by which your unconscious tells you that you have found something sacred, something that goes beyond ordinary love and leads into the realm of spiritual transformation. Do not let the fear of growth cause you to reject this opportunity. Do not let the comfort of the familiar prevent you from embracing the extraordinary. Do not let the voices of doubt, whether from within or from others, convince you that you deserve less than the deepest possible connection between 2 human beings. Your psyche knows what you need for your evolution, even when your conscious mind is full of doubts, resistance, and fears. Your soul recognizes the truth, even when your ego clings to familiar but limiting patterns. When you recognize these signs in your life, you stand before a fundamental choice. You can ignore them and remain trapped in familiar patterns that keep you in a smaller version of yourself. Or you can summon the extraordinary courage to engage in the deepest transformation a human being can experience.
Jung believed that meeting true love is, at its deepest level, a meeting with the divine inside yourself. It is the rare chance to witness the union of opposites, the healing of inner contradictions, the reconciliation of the polar forces within you that once kept you divided. And through that union, you begin to recognize the archetypal self, the version of you that represents your highest wholeness. Your unconscious has always known the truth. Your soul recognized the answer long before your mind tried to label it, analyze it, or make it make sense. And the question that will shape the direction of your life is simple. Will you have the courage to listen to that deeper knowing and follow it? Even if it challenges everything you once believed about love, the signs are already present. They have been waiting to be noticed by someone brave enough to see beyond surface reality. The archetypes are stirring. They are activated now, waiting to be integrated by someone ready to outgrow their old limitations. Synchronicity is moving through your life, waiting to be trusted by someone who believes in the intelligence of the universe. Your personal myth is unfolding, waiting to be lived fully by someone who is willing to answer the call of their highest destiny. Because the love of your life is not simply a person who fits neatly into your current routine. True love is a doorway, a portal into the most authentic, powerful, and complete version of yourself. A version you could never have reached without this transformative encounter.